What is up, and welcome into the block. I've got my guys, Carl Reed, Blake Brockermeyer, here ready to talk some college ball as always. Media Days rolls on across all of college football, Big 12, SEC, check the boxes, but the ACC is coming up very soon. So it's ACC Preview Day here on the block. Before we get into today's show, like the video, share the channel, subscribe, continue to get us out there as we build the block from the ground up. Gentlemen, like I mentioned, ACC Preview Day. I'm excited about this because it's an intriguing conference overall, and I want to jump right into this and put you two on the spot. So, Blake, going to you first. Give me your ACC title game picks and why.
I've got NC State versus Pittsburgh. Those are the two teams I think will win the ACC this year. NC State's a team I'm high on. They return 17 starters, very high expectations. They've got obviously the key guy in Devin Leary, who's a Heisman hopeful, and he's got a really good receiver in Devin Carter, who is long and tall, and I think has a large catch radius that I think can do some damage for them. They've got, in my opinion, one of the best back sevens in the country, back ends in the country, and I think, at each level of their defense, they've got good players. They've got Corey Durden as one of their top defensive linemen, Drake Thomas as a linebacker, and Tanner Engel as a safety. So I like what they're doing offensively and defensively. Pittsburgh, they lose some key guys, obviously, in Kenny Pickett, Jordan Addison, and OC Mark Whipple. They return some key pieces and 15 returning starters in Keaton Slovis, all 5 of their offensive linemen, running back Israel Abanaconda, and a very good defensive line that's got multiple very good players. So I like Pittsburgh's experience. They were there last year. And I think both of these teams have the experience and the returning starters to do some damage in the ACC, who is really talented this year up and down.
In the words of the great Rodney Dangerfield, I can't get no respect around here. NC State, everybody seems to be so excited about NC State. And NC State has this loaded roster. A college teammate of mine worked in their recruiting department, and he's telling me that they're going to have like the steel curtain on defense. But what about Clemson? Clemson has dominated the ACC. It hasn't been anybody in that league to come close to Clemson. So until I see NC State beat Clemson on the football field, I'm going to have to stick with Clemson in the ACC title game in that division. On the other side, I'm going to go with the Miami Hurricanes. Mario Cristobal has come in. He's already put together a dynamic staff, but he inherits an unbelievable quarterback. He has offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis, who just had a huge year for the Michigan Wolverines. And so we'll see if he can get that offense up and flying early. Defensively, they're led by Kevin Steele, a veteran defensive coordinator. I think that division is up for grabs, but I think that the Miami Hurricanes are going to win their division and play Clemson in the ACC title game. Clemson out of this world on defense, the best defensive front in the country. Is going to be really tough to move the football on those guys up front. They have some uncertainty at quarterback in the beginning. I think that eventually something's going to happen there, but they do have the running backs to lead them through the first part of the schedule. But I think in the end, we'll see Clemson and Miami in the ACC title game.
Well, Carl, you said Clemson has dominated the ACC. They didn't dominate it last year. They lost the ACC last year. And one of the reasons why is their signal caller, DJU. So until I see a different quarterback at Clemson, until he proves to me that he is who we thought he was, then I will go with NC State.
Maybe we'll get to that a little bit later on in the show. So while I lob that tease out there, let's go ahead and get into some of the top tier players within this conference, because Blake mentioned there's a lot of really good football players in the ACC this year. So Carl, going to you, who are 3 Heisman Trophy contenders within this conference that you're keeping an eye on?
Right now at the top of my list is Devin Leary, the quarterback from NC State, first round draft pick potential. He's had an excellent season a year ago. And if NC State is going to take out Clemson, they're going to have to do it behind his arm, and he definitely can play himself into the Heisman conversation. Tyler Van Dyke, Miami Hurricanes. I just picked them to be in the ACC title game. So Tyler Van Dyke, huge season. Josh Gaddis is the OC. I think that he can potentially play himself into the race. And a guy that a lot of people aren't talking about as much early on is running back Sean Tucker from Syracuse. He's kind of off the radar a little bit, but he is a great back, was one of the top rushers in the country a year ago, and has flirted with the possibility of wearing number 44. And so everybody knows what wearing the number 44 means at Syracuse. And so we're going to see if he wears that or if he sticks with his 34 jersey. I'm not sure if a final decision has been made, but Sean Tucker playing for the Syracuse Orangemen, he's got a definite chance to run his way into the conversation as well.
Carl, let's be real. I mean, the ACC has got some talented players. In my opinion, there's probably 7 to 9 potential first rounders, but no one in the ACC is winning the Heisman Trophy this season. They got some good players, but let's be real. Nobody's winning the ACC this year.
Hey,
if they do, it will be a Clemson player, because they're the only that's the only team that I think really has a legitimate chance to really be on the radar every week nationally.
Hey, Devin Leary, now you heard what he said. All right. You heard what my guy said. He said, you don't have a chance. You better pick that ball up and let her rip a little bit. I want to see if my man can eat some crow towards the end of the season when we get down to those final 4 guys.
I mean, geez, Carl, Mr. NC State over here on our show is just giving his quarterback 0 shot in New York. I don't know what's going on here.
He's going to win the league, but he's got no shot, man. I can't get no respect around here.
Blake is see it to believe it.
Well, Blake is a wild card, but I want to talk about wild card seasons that could lead to the end of coaching careers potentially. It could be tough for this guy down in the Southeast, Blake. It's a very defining season for him. Who is the coach on the hot seat in the ACC?
Yeah, I think Georgia Tech's Jeff Collins is the obvious answer. Georgia Tech has lost a lot of their key playmakers to the transfer portal on both sides of the ball. They've brought in some nice pieces as well, but they've lost more talent than they brought in my opinion. I really like Jeff Sims as a dual threat quarterback. I think their offense will be decent. A lot of question marks on their defense, but looking at their schedule, I think if Georgia Tech maximizes and plays the best football they can possibly play, they might win 4 games.
Deion Sanders on line 1 is Deion Sanders on line 1. If they get rid of Jeff Collins, you will see Georgia Tech put a full court press, and they will force Deion Sanders to say no. It's going to also force Jackson State to see if they're serious about moving up to FBS football. Deion Sanders is the pick that Georgia Tech wants if they make a move in another direction.
That would be a great pick.
Let me say this, guys. We're going to get to our hot takes, and I teased it earlier in the show, but the Cinderella story I want to see most as a sicko mode kind of guy is if everything's going wrong for Jeff Collins, he's got to go to the bench, put Jeff Sims over there, and bring in Zach Gibson, who I saw in midweek action on the Akron Zips, comes in and saved the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. I'm praying to see that unfold before my own eyes. But I agree with you, Blake. Jeff Collins is the obvious choice here for the hot seat in the ACC. Now, going to you, Carl, this feels like an obvious choice from you, but I still think it's an excellent pick. Who's your ACC true freshman of the year this year?
It's Toriano Pride, cornerback at Clemson. Toriano is going to go into Clemson this year. He's going to play very early. He had a great spring. He did a lot of good work rotating with the first unit throughout the spring season. He's going to make an instant impact for Clemson. He's going to play a lot, and Clemson is going to be in that championship race in the league with an opportunity to play in the playoffs. I expect for Toriano Pride to be the freshman of the year in the ACC.
I want to know a little bit more about him, Carl, by the way. You pick him, and we know he's a very good player. And as you mentioned, Clemson, high-stakes type of squad. But what is it about Toriano that's going to prepare him to meet this level of expectation?
Number one, he has great speed. He also has great lateral quickness. He can play defense on the perimeter and guard the outside receivers. He can also line up and play press and play on the slot and be used at nickel if it's necessary. He can be a dynamic guy in the return game in both kickoffs and punts. He can tackle well as cover the ball in the deep part of the field, which is hard for a lot of young guys to do. He does a great job in phase and out of phase. He is the total prototypical corner that you look forward to play at that level.
I can't wait to watch him in 2022 and see what he does for the Clemson Tigers in a very important season. Now, going to you, Blake, I got to know, we like to pick your brain on the NFL draft prospects within each conference. Who's maybe one or two guys you're keeping an eye on in the ACC with potential first-round buzz?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I think there's 7 to 9 guys that have a chance to be a first-round pick in the ACC. It's a very loaded division this year. They've got a lot of very good quarterbacks. The two guys that stand out to me are Miami's Tyler Van Dyke. I think he has a chance to be the third quarterback off the board in the draft this year. What I saw on film and what he did in his first year playing at Miami last year, he proved to me that he's the real deal. Now, can he do it again and get a little bit better, improve, make people feel like he is a franchise guy? We'll see this year. My guess is that he will. And then Josh Downs, the electric playmaker from North Carolina, is a sure thing top 20 pick in my opinion. He is a touchdown waiting to happen. I love the way he plays the game. He's fearless across the middle. He's got incredible speed and space and just an all-around great prospect. So those two, in my opinion, are the top two guys, but Clemson's got a bunch of guys on defense as well. And there's a bunch of good quarterbacks in the ACC, like I mentioned earlier.
We talk about Van Dyke a lot on the show. Josh Downs, I think Blake is an excellent pick. And he's one of those guys that old heads say he could have played back in the day. He could have ran across the middle back in the day when they were really letting you hit guys. He is instant offense, like you said, waiting to happen. I think that's an excellent pick. Definitely a top 20 pick.
All right, gentlemen, speaking of making picks, we didn't do this for the SEC. We didn't do it for the Big 12, but we got to do it for the ACC considering how wild this conference might be. It's time for hot takes, bold takes regarding the ACC in 2022. Blake, I'm going to go to you first. What's your hot take in the ACC for the 2022 season?
Well, looking at Florida State's schedule, they are predicted to win 7.5 games this year, and I just don't see it. I think I really think Mike Norvell is a very good football coach. Coaching against him at Memphis, some of the teams there he had were amazing, and I thought when he got to Florida State, it would even be better because he's able to recruit more talented players in the state of Florida. But looking at their schedule, I see 3 sure wins for them. Three wins that you can pretty much chalk up as W's now. They got 9 games that they could easily, lose any of those 9. I mean, they're not going to lose all 9 of them, but they're going to lose, I think, more than they win. And so I see them not making a bowl game this year again. I think that they just don't have the talent to compete at the highest level in the ACC yet. And if they don't make a bowl game, which I don't think they will, I think Mike Norvell's seat will start to get kind of hot down there in Tallahassee.
Now, wait a minute. Florida State, I want you to listen to me for a second, all right? Now, my guy just says you're going to win 3 games. You got to take this serious. You play for Florida State, one of the historically great programs in the nation. When you were getting recruited out of high school and coaches were sitting in your living room with you and your parents, and you had dreams of playing in the NFL, you went to a school like Florida State to play big-time college football and to win in big games. You have got to bring the luster back and the swagger back to Florida State. Bobby Bowden built a remarkable program. Jimbo Fisher kept it rolling. Guys, it's your time. You can't let my guy sit up here and say you're going to win 3 games. You've got to bring the noise at Florida State. You got to make guys like Derek Brooks and Charlie Ward and Ward Dunn. You got to make them excited to be Seminoles again. Florida State, he just issued you a challenge. I hope that you accept it.
I hope they did too. I didn't say they were going to win 3 games. I said that they'd probably win 5, but not that great either. But I didn't say it. I said they have 3 sure thing wins. So my guess is they're going to lose, that they won't get to 6.
Hey guys, every great hot take comes with a disclaimer, so you can bail at any minute. But speaking of that, Carl, I got to go to you for yours, unless you've got something you want to say right now about this Florida State situation.
Hey,
I see you warming up.
Listen. Clemson, I think Cade Klubnik starts by week 4 at quarterback for Clemson. You talking about a special quarterback who's generational. We know that DJ struggled last year for Clemson offensively. Dabo has already shown us in the past that he's not scared to make a decision like that. He went from Kelly Bryant to Trevor Lawrence. Cade is the best high school quarterback in the country. In my opinion, he was coached by the legendary Todd Dodge at Austin Westlake High School. He's ready to play. He's impressive as a guy that's ever been. If that offense doesn't move early, you will see the young fella in at quarterback, and he will be leading Clemson to the ACC title game.
Yeah, I agree with Carl. If Dabo can make that change early enough, then I think let's see how DJU starts out the season first. But if he struggles and they make that change early, that could change the whole picture of the college football season, in my opinion, because Clemson's defense is good enough to win a national championship, and it's their offense that I worry about, especially under center. So we'll see how that goes. But like Carl said, Dabo has done it before, and I know he's there to win, not to make friends. And so we'll see how that goes for Clemson.
If you saw the video the other day of Dabo doing the giddy dance when he was at Clemson that went viral, if he makes that change in quarterback, he might be doing that dance a lot this season.
Well, I will say this. I agree with you, but it's called the gritty. I know I got a couple of old heads on the show.
I met the gritty. You're a young guy. You knew it better than me.
I'm trying to look out for my old heads on the show. You know what I mean, Carl? I'm trying to keep y'all young and youthful. Speaking of that, they made the mistake of letting me make a hot take on the show. So here we go. But I think you guys will like this one. The Louisville Cardinals went 6-7 last year, but this year they will go from 6-7 to a 10-win team in 2022. That's right. I said it. Now look, you look at the schedule, couple of tough road games, but some favorable matchups at home, especially with some of the top tier powers within the ACC. Then on top of that, in the conference of quarterbacks, you've got Malik Cunningham, an excellent dual threat. And what I like to call the conference of offensive linemen. Louisville should have a very good front five in 2022. And if that is the case, this offense should be high flying yet again. They brought in 7 transfers to help out that defense. And if they can fix up that unit, look, man, we know that the ACC scores a ton of points. They should be able to do so. But if they can hold opposing teams, Louisville could be a very dangerous squad in 2022. A lot of recruiting momentum right now on the trail, but they've got to carry that over to the field. I think they will do so if I've got to provide a hot take. And Carl, I know you're very close with the one Scott Satterfield. Is Louisville just not getting talked about enough when we talk about the ACC?
We're not talking about the job that he's doing, and we're not talking about how strong of a recruiting class and transfer class he's brought in. I do think Louisville is going to be much improved. Scott Satterfield is a really good football coach, great offensive guy. I expect an incredible season out of Cunningham as well. And 10 wins, hey, I don't know if it's going to be 10. It's going to be improved, all right? And so we'll see. But I do expect a much improved year from Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville's a team on the rise. Like Carl mentioned, the recruiting class that they've got right now that's not signed yet is very good for Louisville standards. It's nationally, it's a great class. So we'll see if they can get all those guys there. The key to Louisville's success is Malik Cunningham's ability to stay healthy. I mean, when I watched Louisville last year, he was running the football a ton. I was shocked that he made it through the season healthy as much as he ran the football. I'd like to see him be able to progress a little bit and be able to throw the football more, protect him a little bit better so he can stay healthy. Obviously, he's a tough kid and is able to take some hits. So I think their season rides on him. He's a great player. So we'll see how their season goes. 10 wins, I don't see it, but I do see them rising quickly in the ACC and being a more of a problem in the future.
When you think about Cunningham and when you think about the class that he's recruited, even though Blake says they haven't signed yet, Louisville is turning into a cool place to play. A lot of kids talking about him, a lot of prospects talking about him. Scott Satterfield has Louisville looking like a very cool place for kids to play football right now.
They've got to carry that momentum over onto the field, and it feels like they have the opportunity to do so. I can't wait to see what they do in 2022. I can't wait to see you at home. Like, share, subscribe to the channel and the block as we continue to roll this show through. Pac-12 is coming up soon. You won't want to miss that, including some special guests we'll later have on this show. So again, like, share, subscribe as we continue to roll out the block. Check these two out on Twitter and head to 247sports.com for all things college football. Gentlemen, it's always fun.